Janie here, and today I'm going to show you how I made this photo Christmas ornament using this Coca Rosa Layering Snowflake Frame Dies set from In Love Arts. And it is a 3-piece set, and the pieces can be used together or separately, and they are great for cards and tags and scrapbooking as well. So to make this, I'm going to be using a piece of PVC sheet, which is like acetate, and silver cardstock from Recollections, and blue glitter paper from Close to My Heart, and I'll be doing some heat embossing, but I end up using a no-name embossing powder instead of what is pictured here. And I'll also be using a piece of cardboard from this cereal box, and I just open it up and cut it so that it will fit in my die cutting machine. So to start, I'm cutting the solid snowflake from the cardboard with my Sizzix Big Shot Switch Plus, and I love this die cutting machine. Anyways, I cut 2 of those solid snowflakes, and I'm cutting an opening in the center of one of them with the circle die that came with the set. However, I decided to borrow the green tape from my contractor to hold the die in place so that it wouldn't move while going through the machine. And it stuck to the cardboard. Not a big problem since I'm going to be heat embossing over that, but it was still frustrating. So now I'm going to be doing the heat embossing on that piece, and I'm using Ranger Emboss It Dabber, and I'm using some silver embossing powder. So the Ranger Emboss It Dabber is basically embossing ink in a bottle instead of on a pad. And I'm just dabbing that all over that piece that I cut from the cereal box, and that is going to be the frame for the picture on the ornament. And I'm generously sprinkling the silver embossing powder on that, and then I will shake off the excess and use my Ranger heat gun to melt the embossing powder. And it takes a little while, so I have obviously sped things up. But you still get to see the magic happen as the embossing powder melts and creates a beautiful silver frame. Here's a little tip. Since not all sides of the die cut are exactly the same, I found the right direction and put a little black dot on both pieces so I know where to line things up. And just in case that dot gets covered up by embossing powder here in a minute, I also drew an arrow pointing the right direction. I'm just going to add the embossing powder around the edges of this other piece, just in case the edges show. And again, I'm speeding things up, but you still get to watch the magic happen. I think it takes a little longer for the embossing powder to melt when it's on the cardboard. And next I'm using the same cutting die to cut out some blue glitter paper that I'm going to be using for the back side of the ornament. And now I'm using the intricate snowflake die, and I'm cutting that from the silver cardstock, and I am absolutely amazed at how beautifully that cuts and how easily all of the pieces just pop right out. I didn't even need to use my pokey tool, I just used my fingers. So here are those 2 pieces, and the silver will be layered on top of the blue glitter paper. And I don't have a fine tip glue bottle, so I'm using a spray adhesive to get full coverage and to ensure that it is completely adhered to the glitter paper. So here you can see that I have those dots again so that I know how to line things up, and I am gluing the blue and silver snowflake to the back side of the solid snowflake that I had cut out of the cardboard, making sure that everything is lined up and adhered well. So here I'm showing the circle die that the opening was cut with, and then showing another circle die that does not come with the set, but it's just slightly larger, and I'm going to be using that to cut the piece of acetate for the frame. Now, it doesn't actually cut the acetate, or in this case PVC sheet, but it leaves a really deep impression that I can easily cut around with my scissors. If you're using a thinner acetate sheet, it might cut all the way through. And here is a picture of my granddaughter with Santa Claus last year, and I'm going to be using that same cutting die to cut out MJ and Santa Claus so that it will fit perfectly in the frame. And now that I have all of the pieces, I'm going to start assembling it. And first I'm going to be gluing the picture onto the cardboard piece, making sure that the top of the picture is going the same way as the arrow and double checking that it is in the right place to show through the opening. And then I'm gluing the acetate piece to the back side of the frame opening, making sure that it's adhered good and that there is nothing sticking to it like dust or any particles. And then I'm going to let that set for a minute to be sure the glue is dry so it doesn't smear on the picture. And then I'm just putting glue around the edges, being very careful to avoid the picture. And you'll notice that there is a dot that I put on the back side of the frame so that I will be able to match that up with the top part of the rest of the ornament. And now I'm just making sure that everything is lined up and adhered well. And with that done, now it's time to turn this into an ornament. So to do that, you'll just need to poke a hole in the top with either a hole punch or a pokey tool so that you can string a ribbon through it. And voila! There you have a nice, beautiful special ornament, and the cardboard and layers really make this sturdy. Well, I know it's a little early for Christmas in July, but I hope that you enjoyed this video anyway, and maybe you got a little inspiration. And keep in mind that this 3-piece die set is also wonderful for cards and scrapbooking and tags, and I'll have a link below in the description box to this set at In Love Arts, as well as a 25% off discount code to In Love Arts should you decide to shop there. And as always, thank you all so much for stopping by, and happy crafting, everyone. Bye-bye.